Reserve have a big challenge still on their hands. Okay, let's move on now to a world where artificial intelligence can help us tackle some of the most pressing humanitarian challenges. That's the vision behind the AI for Good Global Summit currently being held in Geneva. It brings together AI experts and 40 agencies from the United Nations, including the World Food Programme, to showcase just how technologies like AI can help and already are. Already in use is SKAI, a tool that assesses damage, needs and resources after a disaster and can coordinate a swift response. And the mission for the World Food Programme is clear and critical, with 345 million people facing high levels of food insecurity this year. Just to give you a sense, that's more than twice as many as back in 2020. Now joining us to discuss is Bernhard. He's head of the Innovation Accelerator at the World Food Programme. Great to have you on the show, Bernhard. Let's just start by discussing what the Innovation Accelerator is and does.
So the Innovation Accelerator of the World Food Programme identifies, supports and scales innovations and technologies such as startups that can help us either make emergency response more effective and efficient or sustainably end hunger. And as you're saying, like 345 million people marching towards starvation, like the need has never been higher, and we need innovations to make a step change towards like reaching all of them and also reach a world without hunger.
I mean, you have all sorts of hubs, I notice, in Kenya, Latin America, Colombia, Jordan, Tanzania. So you've got operations going on elsewhere, I assume, to identify need. How do you pick projects? Let's talk about that, because there's a whole host that we'll get into more detail on. But how do you choose? How do you pilot them and then go in for perhaps scalability and push money towards them to see what you can do to improve things?
So as part of the World Food Programme, the world's largest humanitarian organization fighting hunger, it's like we have operations in 120 countries and territories, whether it's in Ukraine, in South Sudan, or in Venezuela. Like this is where we have people on the ground who are helping those who are most vulnerable, the people in need. And so like what we do, we're looking for the best innovations and startups globally, and then we matchmake them with problems that we're seeing on the ground. We typically then invite them to what we call an innovation bootcamp, and we support teams with up to $100,000 of grant funding, hands-on support and connections to partners in our field offices. And then again, the best teams, they go into scaling. And so some of those innovations and startups, they already reach millions of people and improve people's lives.
Okay, I've got so many questions. Where does the money come from, first and foremost? Is it part of the donations that come in to the World Food Programme? You just take a chunk out and say, look, we're going to put this towards innovation.
No, so all of the World Food Programme is voluntarily funded. So like when you're donating to the World Food Programme, or also like through our fundraising app, Share the Meal, which is like, you can actually go to the app and like for 80 cents, you can feed a child for a full day. Like you can actually choose where your money goes. You can say like, I want to support like providing emergency aid in Ukraine, or like support women's empowerment in Zambia. Like, so there's different things you can do. As Innovation Accelerator, we also raise our own funds. So like we are relying on government, so it's the German government, the US government, but also like large corporates like Google or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that support us, including individuals that, they say, we believe that innovation is the way to help people in need, like using this private sector investment logic to also then move to the next level of impact.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we've talked about the World Food Programme's efforts around the world on many occasions on this show, but I'd never actually heard of the Innovation Accelerator. And I love the fact that you not only try and improve the situation in wherever you are in the world, but there's also jobs involved, and we'll get to it. You mentioned Google, so let's talk about the SKAI project and the partnership between Google Research and what you're doing there, and how that's utilising artificial intelligence to create better solutions for people and identify problems.
No, SKAI is really exciting for us, where the basic problem that we're tackling with that is that in an emergency response, and we actually use this in the emergency, like you'll remember the earthquake in Syria and Turkey that was devastating earlier in the year. What SKAI does, it uses satellite images and AI to detect buildings and damage assessments, and we can do this within 48 hours now. Instead of previously, this would have taken 2 to 3 weeks of people manually looking at satellite images. Now imagine the impact that this can have, that, now we have, with much greater precision, like 2 weeks earlier, we have data that informs us, where do we need to bring the food? Where will we find more people who are actually suffering from hunger in immediate needs? So this is something that I'm really, really excited about, because it just shows the power of artificial intelligence, not only because, yes, it's faster, but it can improve our operations and improve people's lives as well, because we can reach them a lot earlier.
Yeah, it just makes you far more efficient. Can you also use this to look at farming areas as well that are either damaged or that crops are perhaps not growing the way you'd like them to, just to give you some sense of an indication or forward prediction about challenges that you might have in crop yields as well, which is going to limit the amount of resources that you have? It's clearly been a problem that we've seen in Ukraine.
Absolutely, and it's one of the areas. We have another tool that's called Hunger Map Live. It's actually online, hungermap.wfp.org. Everybody can look at that, where we also use ground data, like surveys we are doing as World Food Program, but overlay this with artificial intelligence. And the team is actually working on now forecasting food security, including other indicators that we're seeing, like in terms of droughts and other things. But even in our portfolio for the Innovation Accelerator, we have a startup called Ignitia. They are actually offering the same precision agriculture innovation information that large-scale farms in the US might have to smallholder farmers in developing countries. And they already have 2.6 million customers, smallholder farmers in developing countries, that now can improve the yields to up to 20%. Purely because of AI, satellite images, and making the knowledge more accessible and democratize the access to this kind of knowledge.
Yeah, the power of technology. One of the other projects that you've worked on is EMPACT, and it's about connecting young people in food insecure regions and providing them with skills, digitization skills, data analytic training. Talk to me about that, because it caught my attention, because we talk a lot about labeling data and analyzing data to train artificial intelligence models. And these are the kind of skills that you're providing with these people. Talk to me about those roles and to what extent they go on to get jobs as a result.
No, the basic idea behind EMPACT was to empower people that are young, that they have a future in front of them, but because they have to flee from a war, or they just happen to be growing up in an area where they don't have economic opportunity, like how could we bring them into the digital economy? And like historically, organization would train people to become carpenter or something. But now, why not actually choose to do digital training and bring people, connect them to jobs online? And this is what EMPACT does. It's now active in multiple countries, including like Iraq, in Lebanon, in Kenya, where we've also been proving that it's not only the very first part that, when people have never worked with a computer before, the very first thing you can do is like do data labeling, cleaning, that you actually need to use to train artificial intelligence data. But then, once they have done that, they can go into actually doing other jobs, becoming a website designer, becoming a social media manager. These are the types of jobs that you can actually do remotely. And all of a sudden, they can provide for themselves and their family, rather than being dependent on donations and food assistance from the World Food Program.
Yeah, and we were just showing the statistics of how many people this is actually achieved, and actually the majority, and it's a minor majority, but it caught my attention, female students, so empowering women in particular.
No, and this is one of the areas like that we are choosing to do in all of our programs. When we're selecting startups or innovations, we're always also cross-checking not only for female leadership on those teams, but also like whether those innovations are fostering gender equality. And I think as per design, like some of these innovations like EMPACT lend themselves to, yes, we also on purpose wanted to train up young women to actually become part of the digital workforce and provide for themselves and their families.
Yeah, it's important for all, but it's great to hear women getting involved in this too, because I do think in certain parts of the world, certainly, they're getting left behind, and it's frightening. Regulation. You're at an event that's doing a great job, I think, of promoting the beneficial uses of technologies like artificial intelligence. But certainly when we start to talk about generative artificial intelligence, there's fear. Big industry players are warning about things like AI, Armageddon. What's your view on that as someone who's saying, look, okay, we can perhaps talk about the risks, but we also need to understand the beneficial aspects of this technology, and we're utilizing it today?
It's definitely an area where I think you do need to have a solid look into like the ethics of AI, but also like the equality of access to that, like including like not just having access in like Silicon Valley and like different parts of countries that are happen to be developed, but like also like how do you actually bring in community groups, governments, like people who are currently not having access, or maybe not even having access to internet right now, or electricity or running water, and I think this is an element of when you're starting to look into this, how to leave no one behind in that, and like actually having an informed choice of doing things, I think is an aspect that is really important. But then again, it's one of those aspects of like just calling for everybody to actually join forces and for responsible development of technology, where we want to develop a better future, a future where technology is improving people's lives. And there, it will be important to actually develop then also like standards and coming together on some of these innovations where you don't want to put people at risk, but you want to improve their lives. So this is going to be the big goal.
Yeah, the balance that has to be found. Very quickly, for those that may be thinking about donating, just give us the numbers again of the people that the Innovation Accelerator has directly helped, how many lives you've touched.
So as Innovation Accelerator, we support innovations and startups across the globe. And this is where last year, those innovations have impacted the lives of 37 million people already. So since we started, every single year, the number of people that they've reached has doubled. And what's also to show, you think, maybe it's a pilot, maybe it's a small startup that we're first, supporting. Those startups, once they're essentially also through the acceleration phase, they've totally raised a total of $200 million of grant funding already. Just going to show, you can start small, but you can have big impact.
Yeah, incredible. That was slightly longer than I was looking for, but to your point, 37 million people helped and $200 million of capital that they've raised themselves, which says a great deal to me. Bernhard, great to chat to you. Thank you for the work that you and your team are doing. Great to understand the head of the Innovation Accelerator there at the World Food Programme. Thank you.